over the service. We had our own speaker and everything. But the trailer, no wayside, with the virus and all that. But every year in April, I think it was April, we had our own Founders Day. PHC.
And I don't know if you were trying to say take away from that, that's in itself council. I think he was talking about when that January meeting rolled around. I can pull you up, sir.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the very same thing that Ms. Rome talked about. That well, that did happen. The founders did for the Steve and King. And so that's why we did it around that time. Um, I also know that some time ago, I think that's a COP discussion. Some time ago, the COP, there was a discussion about having a big event in the COP. Now, I've been talking about 15 years ago, making the news in order that we did not have an event. They did not want if they're selling a ticket, an individual against etc. They didn't run it down. They did this. So we can't achieve those needed funds to do what it needs to take the conference and etc. We made the decision that we needed. But I just think that that would be a conversation that's what presidents and then we got back and then that's so that competition
Next thing is but what we want to we want to try to see if we can get each of our organizations to provide one
All right, how's everybody doing?
We're good.
Wonderful,
How are
wonderful.
you, Pastor?
I'm doing good. All right, let me do something real quick. Everybody that's watching on social media, if you all could do me a favor and go ahead and begin sharing the post, I would be extremely, extremely appreciative. Again, those that are watching on social media, if you all can share the post, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, go ahead and share the post, and I would be extremely appreciative. I want to welcome you to this month's Financial Wellness Ministry. Title of today's conversation is Budget Boot Camp. Budget Boot Camp. And so, again, everybody watching on social media, go ahead and share the post and I would be extremely appreciative. All right, I put it in the hands of our coordinator of our financial wellness ministry, Kiera Hall.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I
Yes.
am so excited. You all are in for a treat. You are in for a super special treat. We are going to have a guest speaker at the beginning of this budget boot camp. And she is actually the one who has invented the method. And she has been coaching and mentoring me and my husband. And we have saved so much money from the technique and the advice and everything that she shared with us. And so I asked her if before I start sharing the opportunity to learn this budget and digging into details, if she could take some time to share her personal testimony, which I think is going to bless so many people and give so many people hope. But I wanted Tony to share her personal testimony and also just spend a little bit of time for Q&A. She's not going to be able to stay on the whole meeting because she is speaking at another event. She's super awesome. So she's going to be with us for our first 20 minutes and or until 7:20. And I just want you all to begin thinking of any questions you can, while we have her to be able to ask. But I want to introduce to you all Tony Alexander. She is a regional vice president. She has been a business owner for many, many years. She has accomplished paying off more debt in such a short amount of time. And I'm going to let her share her testimony, but she is just amazing. And I'm super grateful for her. And Tony, take it away.
Wow, thank you, Kiera, and hello, Pastor Rawls. Nice to meet you officially. And it's just been my humble pleasure to be here. I have to say this, that I think I'm actually more, they tell me when I was raised that the Bible has stories of warnings and examples. Is that right, Pastor?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
have warnings and examples. I think I'm more of your warning than I am the example, Kiera, but I do appreciate the heads up on that. And just to kind of let you guys know where I came from, I am in financial services now. She is using my budget process. And let me tell you where that came from. It came from a place of desperation. I was in my mid-20s and I was working really hard. I had the great job of, having the salary, which I found out was slavery misspelled. I had 4 days off a year. I worked an average of 84 hours a week. If any of you can know what it feels like, raise your hand. And what I found out was, when I looked at my expense, I actually looked at my finances, my incoming was capped and my outgoing was growing. Anybody know what that feels like when you have a space between those two lines? And what happened in my situations, when I actually looked at it, I had $107,000 of credit card debt. Ms. Cole, did you hear that? I had $107,000 of credit card debt, and I didn't even know that's what I had. And the reason why I didn't know is I didn't know how to look. I didn't know how to check. And because here's my mind, I'm paying my bills. Maybe not on time, but I was keeping my nose above water, right? I was making those payments, but at the end of the day, that's what I had. And so I realized I had to do something about it. And so my first response, Pastor Rawls, was to not open my mail for 3 months. I literally took my mail out of the mailbox, put it into a copier paper box with a lid on it. By the second month, I had to shake that box to get the lid on it. And by the third month, my mail went over the edge of the box. I just put my lid on top of the mail. And I don't know about you, but if you're like me, you'd be like, what were you thinking? Here's the truth of it. I didn't know what to think. Because if you're anything like me, this is why I kept thinking to myself, you can't get blood from a stone, right, Ms. Cole? You cannot get blood from a stone. And so what happened, Kara, is I just was like, okay. And then I remember I came home, it was a Monday night. I'll never forget. It was a Monday night in my apartment. I said hello to my cat. I had to be out of my apartment by 5 o'clock the next morning. That was every day. I woke up at 11. I went to bed at 11 o'clock. Everything was good. I woke up, couldn't tell you what time because I had no electricity and I had no water. So 2 separate men came to my apartment in the middle of the night on a Monday night. One turned off my water, one turned off my electric. And let me tell you why, because I didn't pay my bills for 3 months. And it was crazy, Pastor, because in that darkness, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was relieved. And I don't know about you, but I was always taught this. If you're a really good person, you work really hard, you're going to be okay financially. And what I discovered is that's a lie. Because that was the honest truth. Most people be wealthy, definitely roofers, construction workers, landscapers, they'd be wealthy. And what I found in that darkness, couldn't even wash my hands, that waiting for the hit is worse than getting it. And that was my first real lesson about money, was that. And so I honestly said, okay, well, now I got to figure this out, right? And so I got to work and I failed forward. And it took me 7 years of hard, bad mistakes, but it took me 7 years, I paid it off. And then you know what I did, Mr. Rawls and Yesel? I'm completely debt-free. I'm living in Hawaii by the time. This is Big Island of Hawaii, the one that has the erupting volcano. I bought a house. And that was my second lesson about life, which is that getting out of debt is a different skill set from staying out of debt. And that's, how many times you've been, I paid off all my credit card bills. I paid off all my credit. And then like 6 months later, like, oh, I have so many deals. Why? Because it's a different skill set. And in that process, I learned some very hard lessons. And one of the lessons I learned was budget. Now, I don't know about you, but I grew up thinking budget was a bad word. Pastor Rawls, when I was 7 years old, we were at Christmas Eve service. I'll never forget, my dad went to my mom, and my mom looked at him and says, it's not in the budget. I said, Mama, you can't use that kind of words in Jesus' house on his birthday. I was ready to call the police, church police and report her because I thought she used a 4-letter word in church because that's how it was used in my life. That's how I grew up with. And what I learned, though, that budget's not a 4-letter word. And budget's also not squeeze all the fun out of your life so you can eventually eat when you're 74. Up, Chuck, you won't do that. That's like the bad diet that I start every year. I'm like, I'm going to eat 400 calories only, and I'm going to be 25 pounds. No, you have one bad potato chip. Next thing I'm crying in my Ben and Jerry's. So, but what a budget is it's a way for you to tell your money where to go. For you to intentionally decide, this is how my money is going to be spent, and then create systems in place to know when you're off. And that's really what a budget is. So, Pastor Rawls, you've got me asking you, what is the largest body of water you've ever seen in your life?
The Atlantic Ocean.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Pastor. I'm sorry.
The Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, the ocean. You just said the ocean?
The Atlantic
Ocean. Your sound is up, but you said the ocean. Okay. Well, probably the Atlantic Ocean. Let's just say, Pastor Rawls, you're on the coast of Florida, and I'm in London. And I'm going to take a boat, and I'm going to boat to you. But I am 5 degrees off, and I never correct. Will I ever get to Florida from London? No. In fact, I won't even make United States. I might not even make South America. But if I have a navigational point and I'm able to go, oh, I have to correct. I have to recalibrate. I got to recalibrate. Now, it might take me a little bit longer to get to Florida, but here's what I know for a fact, Pastor. I'm going to make it. That calibration point is your budget. That calibration point, your GPS, that's your budget. It allows you to know when you need to recalibrate. But here's the crazy thing, folks. I don't know about this, but if you're anything like me, I used to get paid weekly and my bills came in monthly. And so you would think the math is supposed to work, but you know what? It never worked. Ever. I never had enough money at the end of my month. I always had too much money at the end of my money, but people would say, it never worked for me. And so one of the things you're going to learn today is I had to create a system for myself so that I could learn how to budget my money in a reasonable way that's not too time consuming. I don't do Excel worksheets. I'm not doing all these. No, I want it to be so simple that I could do it no matter how tired I was, no matter what happened. And that's really what I've taught, and I've developed Failing Forward. That's what I developed, and that's what Kiara is going to teach you guys tonight. But this is so end result. I fixed my, so when I first got in trouble with $107,000 in credit card debt, folks, the highest credit score I could get was 515. 7 years later, when I bought my house, my credit score, the lowest I could get was 792. So I rescued my credit score, got back into debt, but then kind of hammered back down and figured this out and worked it out. So, and I saved myself broke. And so fast forward, in Hawaii, I moved to Texas in 2012. One of the first things I did is I bought my mom her first house with cash. And I didn't tell her. And let me tell you, Miss Davis, how awesome that was to get to a closing. And I tell you right now, when it's a cash deal, they're very like, do you need anything? Are you hungry? I'd like some. We don't have, our receptionist drinks hot tea. We'll just take some of hers. I'm like, no. Like, no, it's okay. Like, they really do take care of you when it's cash. You only have to sign 4 times, initial 3. That's it. Do. But the coolest thing, Pastor, was this. My mom didn't know. My mom has never owned a house in her life. So when we were at that title company and they said, okay, Mrs. Miller, that's my mom's name, we're going to have you sign these things. And she goes, no, my daughter. I said, no. Your daughter's buying this house for you. The house is in your name. And the craziest thing was the tears in her eyes. She said, you can't. I said, Mom, you've never owned a thing in your life. I want you to have this house. And that's really what the ultimate goal is. I don't know your story, but I do know this. It's never a question of if, it will only be a question of when does God, your community, or your family need to step up. And the only way to do that is to have a solid foundation of faith and finance. And one of the biggest pillars you can have, and I think one of the biggest missing pillars, is budget. And so that's why you're here. Because, and I love the quote that says this, when you take care of money, your relationship with money, everything else kind of falls into place. And that is truth. You want to be a better tither, you need a budget. You want to have a crisis-proof plan, have a budget. And I'll end with this story, and then we can open up for questions. I have one of these clients I've been dealing with. When I met with her 7 years ago, she had over $50,000 in credit card debt. She has 2 car notes because her first car got crashed, got totaled. So she still had to pay off that car, and she had another car note. She had student loans of 6 figures. She lived at her parents' house, and she had no idea. The first thing we did was her budget. And I've been coaching her now for 6 years. She called me, Pastor, 2 weeks ago and said, I need to talk to you. 3 weeks ago, I need to talk to you. Just had a little surprise. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. I'm like, okay, here's what happened. She walked into her job 2 days before Christmas. Her owner of her spa sold the spa to someone else. The owners walked in and said, okay, you're no longer the manager. So now your income's been cut by 50%. Everyone's commission's been dropped by 20%. This is 2 days before Christmas. What would you have done if that was your situation? I would have cried, puked, I don't know, had a hissy. I've got called lawyer and whatever. What would you do, right? Here's what she did. She didn't panic. She went home. She went to her budget. She looked at it. She dropped her income. And you know what? She was going to be okay. She didn't have to panic. She didn't have to have a hissy. She knew what she had to do, and she knew she was going to be okay financially. And that peace of mind in your heart about that makes all the difference in the world. And that's why she called me. She wanted to make sure that she was on track. I looked at her budget and I said, I see no holes. And folks, she's good because she did what was right and she followed the principles that God teaches us about money. And that's what Miss Kara is going to teach you. And I know you're in the bestest of hands with her. She's one of my prize students. So you're in good hands. And that's what we have. And so that's my story. Kara, I hope I did what you wanted me to do. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer anything that you might have. Pastor, I know you're on social media and all that too. People are chatting in questions, let me know. But I know you guys are in good hands.
Thank you so much, Tony. You delivered, you did amazing. I don't know if you ignited somebody, but you definitely touched my heart. And I feel like you probably touched some other people's heart who are on here right now. Does anybody have any questions? Tony has about 4 minutes before she has to go.
Oh, it's all good. It's not like I have to leave right at 6:20. You're good.
Okay.
It's not like my screen's going to go dark.
So I guess what I heard was that a budget is a plan based on my reality, and and when my reality changes, I have to go back in and be willing to change my budget, which might be a sacrifice, but it keeps me headed toward the target and doesn't throw me off to where I'll never reach the target. And so that's kind of what I heard, is that it's a plan. It's a plan that I have to put in place, but it's based on reality. And when reality changes, I have to be willing to go and change that budget.
That's exactly right, Pastor. And I also tell you this, reality is not perfect. Budget is not about perfection. It's about process. Number one cause of divorce is money. And it's not because there's not enough. It's because no one knows how to talk about it. I've saved numerous marriages by helping a couple get a budget. If you want to be a better person, have a budget. Because your intentions of your money, and you make sure they're God's intentions with your money, if you follow that, you're right, Pastor, if you have a plan based on reality, it allows God's hand to be in your works and allows God's hand to be in your plan. And that's really, I pray over my budget every week. And I ask God to do whatever he wants with that budget. And he's had me do some crazy things with that budget, Pastor, but he's never, ever led me wrong, as you know. Yes. Good. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Challenges? Like, is it easy? No, it's not hard. It's simple. And that's what I will promise you. It's very simple, but you have to do the work. It's a process.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No?
I'd like to comment.
Yes.
When you mentioned you bought your mom her first house, it brought tears to my eyes because that's what happened to me 25 years ago. My son bought my first house and he paid it off in 20 years. So it really brought back some memory to me, and that was so touching, beautiful.
Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Thanks for sharing.
No, thank you for sharing. That's huge. And good job on your son, Mom.
Thank you.
Good job on your son.
I'd like to comment. I got in a little bit behind your talking, but I love how you said you have to budget and you tell your money where to go. I love that because the Holy Spirit said to me, once you work for money, now you have to make it work for you, which I think is, the way you were saying is so much better. But I am waiting for part 2 for strategy.
Well, you have the right woman showing you with this Kiara Hall. She's going to show you exactly what to do.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Awesome. So does anybody have any other question for Tony before I jump into strategy? On the Tony method, the budgeting technique that I am so excited about, that I literally have done like 3 budget boot camps already, and I'm sharing this with the world because it is blessing my life. Does anybody else have any questions for Tony?
Oh man, come on.
Uh-oh, Lakeisha, you're unmuted. I don't know if you meant to be.
Sorry.
You're good. All right.
Well, take care, everybody. I leave you in the bestest of hands, and God bless. Thank you so much, Pastor, for allowing me to be here as well. Take
Bless
care.
you.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome.
All right. Hey, Daddy, can you make my second device a co-host? Because I'm going to use that to share screen from so I can share the budgeting technique with everybody.
Okay.
It's ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So everyone, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually share the visual because I believe it's going to make it so much easier when I share the Tony method, the budgeting technique with you. It is like a budgeting technique that I have never seen before. And so I'm super excited to share this with you. And at the end, I'll answer any questions about like the specific strategy and technique. This is a strategy that is old school. Okay, so it just pencil and paper. It's not, there's no apps or technology or Excels or anything like that. The tool that you need to be able to do this is a desktop calendar. And so I'll show you mine that, me and my husband are using. So it's this desktop calendar. But I'm going to be drawing the method for you. But if anybody's going to go and do this, you'll need to go get one of these. And I got mine from the Dollar Tree. They had it for $1.25. Walmart had the same thing for like $7. So if you want to save $6, go to the Dollar Tree and get your desktop calendar. And then the other tool that you will need is a pencil, a good eraser, and a pen. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share this budgeting technique with you. So let's say screen, start now. And all right, let's see. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to draw out this budgeting technique for you all. So when you have your desktop calendar, and let's see if I could turn it to the side. Oh no, that didn't make it better. I'll keep it the way it was. Okay. So when you have your desktop calendar, the way that the budgeting technique is going to work like this, and I'm actually going to take a yellow pen just to, so y'all can see this. So when it comes to building a budget in your square, this is how it's going to flow. And actually, let me erase that and do it one more time. So you'll have your top section, your bottom section on both sides, and this is what goes into it. And this is for each day. So on the top left-hand corner, you have what is called your, oh, let me make this pen skinnier so I can write better with it. There we go. So in the top right-hand corner, you have your balance. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to have your projected balance. And right here is where you'll have your bills. And just anything that you're spending money on for the day. Maybe on that day, you're getting gas, groceries, you're paying a rent, or whatever it is, any expenses will go on the day right there. And then in the top left-hand corner is where you'll put a deposit. So every day will not have a deposit unless you get paid every day. So maybe you get paid every other Wednesday. So then on the top left-hand corner, every other Wednesday will be that deposit. Maybe you get paid every week, every Friday will be that deposit, but that's where you'll put the deposit at. And then on the bottom right-hand corner is where you'll put your actual balance. And so why is it actual? Why you have projected balance and actual balance on the other side? Because in this middle part is where you'll put any surprises. So for example, I'll give you an example. So I have a budget where every week I, have a certain amount of gas and I put it in the car, and then, every Wednesday we fill up, and it pretty much takes us through the week. But today, I had to put a surprise because I used up all my gas money that I had budgeted before the next plan for gas money, because I totally forgot about my daughter's basketball game, which was an hour away. So that was like 2 hours of drive time we didn't really account for. And we forgot to put the extra money in the gas budget for that. So I got a little bit off budget. So I was able to put my surprise on this side and then update my actual balance. So I'm going to give you all a running for what this looks like. And then can I have a volunteer to help me with this? I need somebody who's got a calculator that can help me flow as I write, so y'all can see me what it looks like to work through a budget for the month. Is anybody willing to have a calculator and like help me work through this?
Yes, I will.
Okay, perfect. So let's just start on January 1st. So on January 1st, let's just say we start off with a $500 balance in the account. Okay, so we just start off, there's $500, and we have, we have the emergency fund or all these other things filled up, but in our regular account that we're just spending money in, there's a $500 balance. And let's say on the 1st, there's no bills due, but we planned that we were gonna do like a dinner with our family. And so we said, okay, well, we're gonna be spending on a dinner $100. So then my projected balance is 400. And I wish I could make this bigger. I don't quite know how. So my projected balance is 400. Okay. And then let's just say that I get paid on every Monday. Every Monday I get paid. And so then on that Monday, I bring up that $400 balance that was the balance from the day before. And that's the balance on the Monday. And then with this budget, the thing about it is you do it in advance. So you're not doing it day by day. You're planning out your whole month before it starts. So now I know on that Monday, there's a paycheck that's going to be coming in for $1,000, and I get paid every Monday. So I just say another 1,000 on that Monday, another 1,000 on that Monday. And it's a little bit harder because this calendar is kind of smaller than my desktop calendar. But then I get another 1,000 on that Monday, and then I get another 1,000 on that Monday. So then let's say that the rent is due on the 3rd. So in this bottom corner before the next day, it's like, oh, wow. So I have 400 already. Then I got $1,000 deposit. So now I have a total of 1,400. But I know rent's due on the 3rd. I'm going to go ahead and pay rent today. And let's just say rent is 1,200. So then we'll put rent 1,200. And then let's say for groceries, we normally spend like 100 for the week. Let's just say this is a single person. Well, 100 a week is actually kind of a lot for a single. Well, we'll just say it's a single person, 100 for the week. When I was single, boy, I managed to, be real frugal with the way I spent my money, but we'll say 100. So groceries, 100. And then gas, we'll just say 50 for now. They got a car that saves money. So Daddy, what is 1,400 minus 1,200 minus 100 minus 50?
I messed up. I did all the balances. So tell me exactly what you want me to do. 1,400.
Yeah, because we got the $400 balance plus 1,000 deposit. So 1,400 minus 1,200 for rent, minus 100 for groceries, minus 50 for gas.
50.
So now I clearly see, okay, I got $50 and I'm not going to have another $1,000 so the next Monday. Now, one of the things about budgeting the way that most people budget is they just tally up. Here goes all my expenses. Here goes how much income I have coming in. And it should make sense. But then they don't really see day by day how the money fluctuates and what's actually there. And that's what's so powerful about this budget, because it allows you to see in reality day by day what's going on. So now this person knows, well, I have $50. And let's say that this person also does No, we won't make this complicated. So they got $50. And let's just say they're about to just ride out. This week, we're packing up lunch from home. We ain't going no extra places because we already know we got 50. Uh-oh, I put something there unnecessarily. We still got 50. 50. So you'll notice on the left side, unless you add a new expense, that balance and projected balance, it just stays the same. We got 50. We got 50. And this is real for some people. This is very real. And we got 50. And we got 50 here. And let's say they were able to make it. No surprises came up. That 50 was able to stay in their account. They packed their lunch from home. They didn't, go through their gas. They made it. Now, and I'm going to let y'all interact because I want to make sure everybody's getting it. So they have a $50 balance that they're bringing over. And Mondays is kind of their day where it's like filling up the tank, grocery shopping, and gas. And so if they have a $50 balance, they have $100 deposit, like $100,000 deposit. Now they have $1,050 in their bank. So let's say Monday, they said, okay, we're gassing up Monday and we're going to go ahead and do, 100 for groceries this week because we were kind of low on some stuff. And then we're gonna do 100 for gas. So groceries and gas, 100, and that's really all they got planned for that day. So what is 1,050 minus 200?
850.
So then now the projected balance is 850, and they planned on getting they were going to, we'll just say it's a woman. She had an appointment to go get her nails done on that Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we bring that 850 balance up to the top. And then after we bring the 850 balance up to the top, we got nails. We're gonna put 60. And then let's see if I can make this pen a little bit skinnier so I can write more. We got nails. We got, what else? Y'all give me some ideas. What else could they possibly have done? They decided, you know what? I was pretty lean the last week. I'm going to a restaurant this week. I'm pulling out some cash and I'm going to go ahead and pull out just $50 for $100 for fast food restaurant, that type of stuff, that I just have that little bit of flexibility. So now, we'll just put food 100. And one of the easiest ways to do this type of budget is if it's not a bill, just pull out the cash. That way you don't have to keep calculating it. You have that cash on hand and you can kind of flow with it without having to go back to the budget sheet or remember I spent this much of it already. It makes it really easy just to have that cash. So that's how I do it when I pull out my gas and groceries. So they did $60 for nails, 100 extra for food. They had 850. So what's their balance now?
690.
So 690. Now on the 11th, that's when the car payment comes out. So they have 690. They had a car payment for 450. And then they also had their car insurance come out that same day for 120. What's their balance now? Huh?
120.
Oh, 120. So now they have 120. And they were going through. They realized their gym membership comes out on the 12th. And so they went ahead and marked that on their sheet, their gym membership. Let's just say it was $30 for the gym. And then also they had Netflix that came out too on that date, and Netflix was 15. And then they also had Hulu, and Hulu was 30. So they had 30, 15, and 30 come out, and they started with a 120. How much do they have now?
45.
45. And then, and I'm going to give you all an example of things not working out perfectly so that you all can see how our adjustments made. For like, what about when it doesn't add up? What about when there's negative? What do we do? So I'm going to make that happen in this example. So they have 45 left, and they brought the 45 over. And actually, I should have done this beforehand because it would have made it make more sense. But before you start doing the balances, you actually list out every bill beforehand. You list it out beforehand. So we're gonna go ahead and put GRU for 300 on the 31st. I'm just gonna start putting in some expenses. What are some other expenses people typically have that I should add on to this to make sure we have accounted for? Oh, cell phone.
Diapers.
Phone. Okay.
Your tithes and offerings.
150 tithes and offerings, so they get paid 1,000 a week, and so that's 100. So we can add that over there. For that first week, they didn't have enough for tithes and offering to be able to put it there. But what we'll do is we'll put 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. So we'll put tithes and offerings 500. All right. And then what other bills to make this realistic do people have?
You might have life insurances. You have insurance.
You said what insurance?
Life insurance, health insurance, and life insurance.
Okay. So we'll put their life insurance. Just for the sake of space, I have to put these on like a lot of different days just because it's small. But we'll put life insurance on the 30th, and we'll just put 100. And we got GRU. What was that?
Yeah, GRU. Don't forget GRU.
Yep, I got 300 for GRU on the 31st. We got 150 for phone. We got car, we got rent, we got phone, we got GRU. And then we might as well just keep a rolling tab of that. Groceries, 100, gas, 100. And then we got groceries, 100 on every Monday, and gas, 100. And then we got groceries, 100, and gas, 100. Okay, so this is how your calendar will start to fill out and look. And then you'll have more space in this, so it won't be as tight because this is really small. Maybe they have, trying to think of what else. Uh-oh.
Gym membership.
Gym membership.
Yeah, she said that already.
Gym membership, I think. Oh yeah, we got gym membership on the 12th. We have groceries and gas. We put that down for every day. We got the pay dates. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and trying to think of anything else.
You had daycare?
No, I don't. So daycare. So one of the things we can say, okay, just for the sake of space, daycare is due every Friday. So we got daycare, and let's just say daycare, they got one child, and daycare is 200 every Friday. typically do on a Monday, but Monday's full on space. So daycare 200, daycare 200. Okay. Let's see what other bills. Let me look at mine.
You got hair?
Nope, I don't have hair. We'll put hair on the 26th and we'll put 100. And then internet, Cox. Let's just say Cox is on the 17th. Let's say they got that new customer deal. So they're paying like 60 as opposed to the regular price. And then what other bills might somebody have? We got phone. Maybe they have just like, you know, I have Audible. So they have like a book membership. So Audible, 15.
Amazon.
Amazon. How much is Amazon? Like $10?
It's like $14.99 a month.
Okay. And then for the calendar, we're not going to do any change. So we'll round everything up. So if it's some change, we just round it up. So for Amazon, we'll put Amazon comes out on the 28th. And it's 15. And then we got
they have security, home security.
smart home security. So we'll put security comes out on the 24th, and the smart home security is, we'll just put 75 for all the stuff they got with that. We'll just say the 1,000 is what they take home. So the health insurance and all that, you know, comes out of that check, or yeah, we'll just put the health insurance comes out of the paycheck. So we're just seeing what they take home. But they also, let's say they got some braces. And so for braces on the 25th, they pay $100 every month for their braces. And anybody could think of anything else?
It's good to me.
Looks good. Okay. So now that we got all the bills down, we'll go ahead and flow through this and we can start doing our balances. So we ended with 850 on the 9th. So now we got a total of 690. Oh no, we made it all the way to the 14th. You know, they might decide that 2 weekends out of the month that they want to just have fun. So we'll just do fun 100, fun. We'll just do 150 because they got some plans. Maybe they're going out over to Orlando and go hang out with some friends. They're gonna have fun. And then let's say, okay, so let's go ahead and just flow through it with this and see how it goes. So we have $45. So here we already ran into a dilemma. Y'all see the dilemma? We have $45 right there, and I'm gonna make it big. There we go. I can do it like that. So we have $45 on the 12th as a balance, but then on the 13th, daycare is due and it's 200. And this is some real life situation. So what do? What can they do? If they have $45 left, but daycare is due and it's 200, what can they do? One thing they could do is they know they're going to get paid on Monday. So maybe they can ask the daycare owner, can they pay that 200 on Monday? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they pay the daycare owner 200 on Monday, that means they're going to have to erase what they plan on doing on Friday. And let's say the daycare owner says, yeah, you could pay on Monday, but there will be a $50 late fee. And so they're like, okay, they didn't wait to the day of and say, oh man, dang, I didn't realize, or have to go get a payday loan and pay 100% in interest. They called the daycare lady, moved daycare to Monday. So now they have daycare on Monday, but it's $250. So this helps you to be able to forecast if there's any issues in the budget up front. Before it happens, you already know, you kind of put your plan out, and then you're able to see, oh, wow, this plan doesn't work that well. That's one thing. They could move back the daycare. The other thing is, what else happened before that? Let's say daycare is not something they really can move back. Maybe they can make an adjustment, and they have $45, they needed $200 for daycare. Maybe they could contact one of the other people and say, hey, we'll pay a partial and then we'll pay the rest on this day and get the daycare on time, because maybe something else might not have a fee. If they push it back or pay a little bit later, it might be okay. But they start working through it. So they were planning on having fun going out with their friends on the 14th, but they see they only have $45. So can they go out with their friends on the 14th for that plan that they were going to do and spend $100?
They can go out in the
They should.
backyard.
You said they can go out in the backyard?
Yeah, just talk.
Good. Right. Look, I love that. Let's say you had a date plan, or there's so many things you can do for free. Hey, you could put some candles up on the kitchen table. If you got a fire pit, light the fire. You can make it a special night at your house and still go have fun. So they got creative. They realized, okay, well, I don't have this 100 to have fun this weekend like I was planning on doing it, but we're still going to have fun. I'm just going to move that. So let me go ahead and erase that off. Like, we're not going to pull out the credit cards, not going to get more debt. We're going to just, only use the money we have. And then, so now they carry on that 45, carry on the 45. They carry on the 45, carry on the 45. And then they carry on the 45. So now, they have 45 plus 1,000 is 1,045. Here goes where we need the calculator. Daycare is $250. So 1,045 minus 250. Groceries was 100 and gas was 100. So what's our balance now?
$595.
So $595. So now they carry over that $595. They're making this plan. Cox is 60. So that brings us to $535. Now we're at $535. The phone is $150. What does that come to? $535 minus $150.
$85.
So $85.
$385.
Oh, $385. So they got $385. Then they got Audible. That's $15. So that is $70. $370. $370. Daycare is due again. So now we got, what is that, $170? Yeah, $170.
Did we ever pay the last daycare?
Yep, the last daycare they talked to the daycare person, and they had to request to pay it later, but the daycare person did charge a $50 fee. So instead of paying $200 that week, they had to pay $250 because of a late fee. Right there. And then they balance 170. They plan on having fun. So now they got $20 left for the fun from that weekend. Now we got 20 plus 1,000 minus 200.
So I mean, you can keep those numbers like they are. But what I would start doing is I would begin to, I would see that this plan is not working. Because I'm headed down to E every week. And so what I would do, to kind of what Sister Johnson was talking about, I would say, okay, if I've made 5,000, I owe 500 on tithe. I know I haven't done what it takes to be faithful. And so, God, what I want to do is I want to be faithful to something. And so if I can't be faithful to 10%, maybe I can be faithful to, to 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
be
think
faithful.
they might be able to be faithful to their 10%.
Okay.
We'll see. Because it's in there. It's in the budget, 500 for tithes and offering. It's in there.
Right, but with the tithe, there's a plan. And so where it says, on the first day of the week, and so it looks like we're putting it off to the end of the month for what we've already received. But go ahead, because I still think you gotta have a spiritual piece in there, because even if I can't hit the tithe mark, I gotta at least show some faithfulness over where I am now for God to give me the wisdom, so that when I begin to make the cuts to line it up, God can show me what needs to be cut and the things that I need to do to start making it work. But I think I get myself in trouble if I put tithes off to the last day of the month.
Right. And one of the cool things about this budget is your first go round is just like laying it all out. Like, because the first go, like when you first put it on paper, you're just putting it what it already is, kind of what's already happening, what's already coming out, kind of what you're used to. And then you're able to see your whole month at a glance, like just see everything. And then from there, that's why you write everything in pencil, because then you're ready to erase, move around, shift, make adjustments. Maybe you're saying, okay, I don't need Hulu, but you're able to quickly see, okay, here goes what I'm bringing in, here goes what I'm living on, this is what it looks like. I got to make some adjustments. And a lot of people, they just kind of live day by day, and they kind of like pay their bills and keep going, but they really don't know what their money looks like, where they're really spending it. Like, they don't have this clear picture of what's actually happening. So it's hard to make adjustments because you don't even see like the bigger picture of like what the whole month really looks like. So what we'll do is we'll just finish tallying it, and then we'll go back and then make like coaching suggestions. But this is just kind of like what they have going on, and we'll go back and kind of move around and make suggestions. So they have what's 820 minus 75?
745.
745 minus 100, that's braces, that's 645. 645 minus 100 for hair, so that's 545. 545 minus 200 for daycare, so that's 345. 345 minus Amazon, so that is 330. 330. 330. 330 plus 1,000 equals 1,330 minus 300 equals 1,030. And then 1,030 minus 800 equals how much?
230.
230. So then that means they go into the first, and we won't go past that, but they go into the first with 230. So the first thing that we're able to quickly see from this budget is this person is living very close. They're not living below their means. They're living very close to what they make. And so it's going to be really hard to save and really do the right things, because it's so close, and literally one surprise could throw everything off. One flat tire can throw everything off. One emergency, like just one surprise. And so what this person is able to quickly see, which I think a lot of times people don't see, is how much you make and what you really can do with it, and how you can be prepared. So one thing I want to draw at the bottom, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, is when it comes to building a financial house, the first thing you got to do is you got to lay down the foundation. And the foundation to the financial house, that's going to be, you know, your will, your life insurance, your emergency fund. And what is an emergency fund? That's 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a separate interest-bearing account. 3 to 6 months. And then last but not least, you have your budget. And that's the foundations to really help someone get a foundation to build a strong financial house. The 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the foundation. Then after that, you have your debt elimination plan. Then you have your retirement. Then you have college savings. And I don't put college savings before retirement because kids can get a scholarship, but there's no scholarship for retirement. And if you don't make sure that you plan well for your retirement, your kids are going to end up needing to take care of you. And so you're not going to be helping them if you don't help yourself. And then last but not least is the other dreams and goals. So I want to step back from this all because I kind of flowed through it and I wanted y'all to see what the flow through of the month looks like. But now when somebody sees this, they're able to quickly see, wow, I just went through my whole month. I made $5,000 and I'm ending with $230. And I'm really tight. I paid an extra $50 in fees because I didn't realize the way the money flowed. And what this does is it helps you to be proactive instead of reactive. It helps you to get the bigger picture and start to see your money in a different way and really start to plan and organize yourself so that you can begin winning with finances. And now I can see, okay, here goes, ending with 230. Let me start stacking away, putting away some money in my emergency fund, building that up, even if it's just $5 here, $1 there. Maybe I can still have fun, but wow, I spent $150 on fun. I spent $150 on fun, but I don't have an emergency fund. I saw a post on Facebook today where somebody was saying, man, I bought that because I deserve it. But, we don't necessarily deserve something that we bought on credit or something that we really can't afford. We don't really deserve that. That's not a way to treat ourselves. We actually hurt ourselves when we get things on credit. And so this is the budgeting technique where you're able to take your whole calendar and you plan out the year and you just do a month in advance at a time. And some tips with this technique is that you need a weekly budget meeting where you can look back and see were there any surprises? Do I need to erase and make adjustments? Did things go the way that I planned for it to go? And every week, so me and my husband, every Saturday we sit down and we look at it and we say, oh, this surprise came up, and we're making the adjustments and we're figuring, okay, here goes where we're behind, here goes a hole. But now this really relieves any pressure because now you have a game plan. You're able to quickly see. This month, Tony started coaching me and my husband and helping us with this budget. And just from the advice from her and sitting with her and working on this budget in a way that I had never done a budget before, we've already cut back our expenses by a lot. We spend less on groceries. We're more mindful now. We use the calculator while going through the grocery store. We've spent probably about $300 less this month in groceries. We've been seeing bills like, oh, wait, why am I paying that? That's not really going towards my goal. We've cut out some things that weren't really serving us, that were coming out, but we just didn't even realize it. But it's something powerful about being able to see your whole month like that in real time and seeing the flow of the money at a glance right there on a calendar. And then knowing that you can erase and make adjustments and plan ahead of time. And so, does anybody have any comments or questions on this? And also, I'm going to drop my calendar in a link if anybody wants a one-on-one meeting, you really want help, accountability going through this. I'm so grateful Tony has gone through this with me, and I, want to be able to share and help others. But does anybody have any comments or questions about this budgeting technique?
I have a question or a comment. This is Auntie Katrina. How are you, sweetie? So I definitely agree with budgeting. Like I've been budgeting since college. Like you get that financial aid and it's gonna last you 4 or 5 months and you have to budget to the T. Like if you're staying in an apartment, if you have to pay lights and water or grocery, whatever. But I do also agree with Pastor Rawls where every time I get paid, I don't care what my bills are, I pay my tithes. And I feel like when I pay those tithes up front, then God helps me through the rest of whatever's coming next. So every time I get paid, regardless of how much it is, regardless of what's coming next, definitely the tithes come first. And that way everything else in that budget is blessed. But I really like the way you have it laid out so people can see what they're spending. So like you said, they can cut unnecessary things out. I know COVID helped us cut a whole bunch of unnecessariness out. And so we were able to save a lot more, even with this time that I took off from school and I didn't have money coming in. There was stuff, I had financial aid coming in. I had savings that I was able to pull from. And so we never skipped a beat from like what I actually made. I would pay myself every 2 weeks, just like I was getting paid either out of my financial aid or my savings. So everything could continue. But being able to do that, I feel like making sure those tithes are paid and you're faithful to what you're doing and then come around to that budgeting and looking at what it is and cutting back really helps. But thank you. This has been very, very helpful. Kiki, as usual.
My pleasure.
Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
your time.
Yes. Hey, I want to throw out something. You know, the tires could totally come out first, but I'm curious, what would you do in a situation to where you got just real basic rent, gas, groceries, and if you were to pay the 100 in tires, you, I guess, maybe would have cut back $100 off of groceries, so no groceries.
Yeah. No, what I think. Yeah. So what I think is, even though there's instruction that God has given us, I think God is merciful to allow us to let Him guide us out of a situation. And so I don't want anybody to say what Reverend Ross said. This is what the Scripture says, but this is what I've seen to be true. And my advice to people, I think God really honors faithfulness, and if I can't, if I'm not able, I think there is a spiritual process that we have to respect. And but I think that, say I make $100, and so I'm supposed to say I'll give God $10. But when I look at the way that my life is set up right now, I really put myself in a bind to where that can't happen. Because if I write somebody a check that bounces, that's also not being my yay is not being nay. I gave somebody something and said this check was worth this amount of money, and then it didn't work, and so I'm still being unrighteous. But I think if I looked at what I have, and instead of being able, I know I can't give God 10, but you know what? This week I'm going to give God $2, and God, I'm going to be faithful over that. And what I'm looking for in return, God, is wisdom. And then so now when I look and say, you know what, I can maybe do the same thing I'm doing for that gym membership. I can find a way to do that at home. I can find a way to bring that hair thing down to 60. I can find way. I think God can begin to show me how to cut. And then when God performs the miracles and when God performs the things in my life, I remain faithful to God. And then I get closer to what God is requiring of me. But I think God is understanding enough, and I'm not going to give you a scripture to say it's fine. But and me knowing God, I think if I'm faithful to where I am now, that God will adjust adjust me to where I'm supposed to be, and then I have to remain faithful that when I get there, that I'm now okay. I can do the 10% now, but I think if I'm faithful over 2% and pray to God for wisdom in a place of obedience, and I think God will give me the wisdom to begin to put things in order. But I think there still has to be some faithfulness to that spiritual concept of giving. Because many people just say it's that when they run into the place to where it doesn't work, they just say it's not biblical. That's the easy. Oh, it's not biblical. And but I think it's very biblical. It came before the law. The concept came before the law. And so instead of me trying to invalidate the concept, understand that God understands where I am now. And if I can be faithful over the few things, I think God will put me in a position to where, but it's the wisdom that I'm looking for. God, show me how to break this thing down, because if it's not fixed, like the lady that came in first said, it can begin putting stress on my marriage. It can begin putting stress on me if it's not fixed.
Right, right. And this is so powerful, and I know we're kind of like a little bit over, but I'll just share this one last thing. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this is really, one of those things that allows you, especially if you are, if things are tight, especially if you're kind of like, okay, where's the money going? Like, I don't know if anybody's ever done this before, but you made extra, but yet you still ended the same way. Maybe got a bonus or got a raise, but you still ended the month the same way. So it's like, what changed? And one of the biggest things when I talk to people is food. Food is a big one. Just swiping, you can spend so much money. And like, before I started doing this budget technique, I was like, man, what were we doing? Like, how are we, it causes you to be more mindful, and whatever you focus on grows. And I believe if you begin focusing on your money on a whole nother level, being really accountable towards your money, and being accountable towards what you're doing, that your money will begin to grow, and you'll be able to start stacking away, building that emergency fund and getting your things together. And when you're doing this type of technique, you don't go into the car dealership looking for a car and let somebody kind of talk you into, a payment that you really can't afford, because you're very clear about what your month is looking like. You're very clear about what your money is looking like. And, this type of technique will also make you do delayed gratification, because if, let's say, you decide on Wednesday, oh, I want to go buy this thing, or you saw a commercial, well, you're going to have to go back and erase all the balances and readjust your whole calendar. And so it makes you a lot more mindful to say, oh, no, I don't feel like going back and erase on my calendar. I will wait till next month. I had somebody trying to sell me something, and I'm the person who like get excited, like, oh yeah, I want that. But somebody, had a meeting with me and it sounded really good, like it was going to really be helpful. And I told them, I said, hey, well, my budget's already done for January. I said, maybe this could work in February. But I got to talk to my husband, and we go over our budget calendar and see if, when this could work. But having this, it's that accountability partner for your budget. And then if you need the next level of accountability, I'm totally willing to help share, because it's good if you're struggling with your finances, you could go to Pastor Ross, or you could come to me and say, hey, here goes my calendar, you have any tips? I'm kind of struggling, I'm not quite sure what to do. And now somebody really can help you with their finances, so they can quickly and clearly see what's going on and where it's at. But then you have to have humility to, if you ever need help in that area, on being able to get that advice and be able to move forward. But this is a phenomenal tool just to make it so clear. And then Pastor Gillis, did you want to say something?
No, it's okay. I have it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. So this is the budgeting technique. And the difference between this and every other budgeting technique I've ever seen is this technique is day by day. It literally looks at the flow. It's not, our personal budget should not be like accounting. So where it's like, oh, here goes a ledger, here goes all expenses, here goes, because most people's money doesn't just come in like on the beginning of the month. It comes in all throughout the month and it fluctuates. And so you kind of got this flow that you have to be aware of so that things can be smooth for you. And then you can have control. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it blessed somebody. And I love this budgeting technique. And I'm already saving a lot of money from this and being a lot more mindful about my money by adding this technique into my repertoire, if that's the word. So does anybody have any questions before we close out?
Not a question, but I've enjoyed the session. I've taken an image of your your calendar, and hopefully I can enlarge it maybe on the computer.
Okay.
I'd like to, I mean, you can't, as old as I may be, I'm always interested in trying to manage my money that God has blessed me to be a steward over.
Yes.
And I'm trading this in, and I'm headed to Dollar Tree.
Me too.
Yes.
Already have it.
And
if
anybody wants, like, after this meeting, if you're like, wait, what was it? How do we do the surprises? What was it again? Because remember, you write everything in pencils, but surprises in pen. And yeah, and there's like other little nuances to it. Like maybe if you're self-employed and you don't get paid regularly on a specific weekly basis, I do have a technique to help self-employed people to get more organized with their money if it doesn't flow on that regular schedule like somebody who's employed does. So just reach out. I'm totally here to help answer individual questions, and let's make 2023 be the year that we break free. 2023 be the year, if you don't already have 3 to 6 months of living expenses and emergency fund, that you make it happen in 2023. 2023 is the year to reduce debt, not increase debt. If not completely get rid of it, 2023 is the year to do something special. So love y'all. I pray you have a great night, and I hope Tony's testimony was awesome, and the budget, I hope it is able to make a difference for, freedom.
Sounds like a winner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Kiki.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a wonderful week.
My pleasure.
Well,
Thank you.
good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night.